Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to the Brinx and Hearse podcast.
Howdy, ho.
My name is Ryan McNeill.
Michael Frieri here.
And what are we talking about today, Mikey?
Today, we're talking about one of our favorite directors, would you say?
Most certainly, most certainly.
We're talking about the man, Chris Nolan. He has quite a big catalog and, well, actually 11, not as big as other people. But to kick off or kind of set the tone for Oppenheimer this summer, I felt what better way to rank the Nolan movies so far. I feel like Nolan, from what I've seen, has been a little divisive among viewers.
I think especially in recent years,
Yeah.
it's been a little more, you either really in or really out.
Yeah, and I think me and you would say we're in.
Oh, we are very in.
Yeah, we're in.
Little blonde lad from London who had a camera and a dream, and he's one of our finest auteurs.
I agree. I mean, we both have our lists on Letterboxd, going through all 11, including following. Just a little disclaimer. To prepare for this video, I watched, the idea was sparked last weekend. I saw Memento for the first time. So that sparked the idea for the video. And then I watched, starting Monday.
Within the last 48 hours, let's say.
Yes, I watched Insomnia, Tenet, and then Following. Following I finished just before this. So fresh in my mind. Everything.
Which may not sound like a lot, but for a Christopher Nolan film, it's like a puzzle. It's an enigma.
Yeah.
And it occupies your mind for about a month. So to have 3 in such a short span is
luckily only
very taxing on the brain.
Luckily only Tenet was hard, a difficult concept.
Insomnia and Following are probably his 2 most straightforward films, I would say.
Yes, I agree. So let's get right into it. We'll do our format how we usually do it. We trade off.
Yes.
If I have a movie at one point and you have it later on, unless it's the next one over, we don't have to segue into it.
Yeah.
Because
we'll keep our lips sealed until we get there.
Yes, because
no spoilers.
Say I have a movie at the bottom of my list, you have it more towards the top.
Yeah, I don't want to.
We're gonna have different perspectives.
Yeah, I don't want to be like, well, that's my number 1. And
yeah.
The big thing. So
yeah. So
you begin with your number 11.
All right. My number 11. One of the movies I just watched, and I don't think you're gonna expect it to be this. I don't think you're gonna expect my last one to be this one, and it's a stinker, in my opinion. It's Tenet. Tenet sucked, dude.
You go as far? Wow, that far? Okay.
I gave it a 2.5.
Wow.
Half a star for the. I mean, the cinematography was pretty cool. A lot of cool shots, and obviously the way he did like all the reverse stuff. But my problem with it was one, just way too long. 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Very long.
Dense.
The concept wasn't too hard to understand compared to more of his other things. But I mean, there's one in particular that I think is just like, I don't know, like an AP test. But
okay, yeah, that's fair.
It was just bloated, sloppy. I didn't care about any of the characters whatsoever.
Okay.
It just was a pretty action movie. It was I think I wrote in my review, Nolan is trying to be too Nolan, and the result is this, and it's not good. Did not like it. It reminded me very much of Inception in ways, but a very bad Inception.
Okay, I can agree with you. It's his most ambitious film. And when people say that, like, oh, they just don't like it, I can totally understand why people don't like it. Because it's part of Nolan is you have fun trying to solve the puzzle during the movie. This one, it's too much of trying to figure out what's going on. That it's harder to enjoy it.
And you know what? I didn't even care what was going on that much. So it's like, usually during Nolan, I'm like intently trying to pay attention, like what's really going on. But I didn't like the movie. I hated the movie so much that I'm like, I'm just going to let it play. I'm not even going to like rewind or whatever. To, like, rewind, get it? Huh? I wish I could rewind time so I got those 2.5 hours back.
Zinger.
Yeah. But I'm glad I did it because,
to be a completionist.
Yes, it does this video a little more justice. Hated this thing.
Okay. My number 11, and I think we got a little segue going on here. I have Following.
Okay. That's my number 10.
That's your number 10, correct? Yeah. It's his first film.
Yeah.
It's about an hour 10. and it's serviceable. It's fun. It's unique. It's very cheap.
Yes.
And it gets the job done. It tries to tell a little story. It tells a little story. There's the shot of the guy waking up with the plastic gloves in his mouth. They show that like 8 times. I watched this a while ago, and I remember enjoying it. I don't remember all the details, but I remember it being fun.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, after Tenet, just an FYI, everything else after this, I liked. Following, I liked. I thought it was a little Hitchcocky, which I thought was pretty cool.
It's the only one of his that's kind of a smaller story, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Just off the top of my head. Everything else is pretty big.
That and Insomnia is pretty grounded.
Oh, yeah, Insomnia. I guess Insomnia and Memento are fairly
Memento's
grounded.
concept is grounded, but the way he made it is very much not so.
Yeah.
Anyways, more on that later. But, following...
You just watched this within the last 2 hours of recording. Give me your first impressions.
I thought it was fun and a cool little... would you consider it a thriller? I don't know. But...
It's Nolan. It's a Nolan.
It was just very cool to watch over the span of the last few days, his evolution. Because I saw the first half hour of Tenet last night, fell asleep, and it was 11 o'clock, which was a little strange. I guess it was that boring. Well, actually, no, because there was action scenes every which direction. I forgot to mention that. Way too many action scenes.
Okay.
Anyways, I saw his most recent, and then I saw his first. So it was a cool way. And just thinking about all the other movies, it's a cool way to just see him evolve into and become himself.
And in true Nolan fashion, you watch them out of order.
Very true Nolan fashion. I like that.
But yeah, we both dig Following. Neat little movie. Movie.
Yeah, it was a cool...
It makes sense why people we're like, let's give this guy some money.
Nothing bad about it. You know? Just not much to say about it either.
Exactly, yeah. At my number 10, I have Tenet.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't love this movie. I like it. I think it's fun.
Okay.
I never have to watch it again.
Yeah, no.
I think the concept is cool, but like I said, it's too much of you trying to figure out all the details of it. I think a lot of the forward reverse action sequences are amazing. And there's the part where Pattinson comes around a corner and there's a guy in a mask, and then later you find out he was that same guy in the mask.
That was cool stuff.
The scene on the highway with the car chase scene.
That was also
in
cool.
Reverse. That I really, really enjoyed. Like you said, not super invested in the characters. Both performances are enough for me to be like, okay, I'll go along the ride with you.
I did like the protagonist, named the protagonist. I thought he was pretty fun.
Yeah.
He was a little sassy, a little funny, but other than that...
I will say the villain doesn't do much for me.
The villain sucked, man. Yeah, and everything else about it. That's one of its saving graces, was the protagonist and the cinematography.
But yeah.
It's really cool.
For me, I really like the action. Characters are good enough for me. Villains, whatever, but I think it begins nicely, ends nicely. It's just good throughout for me. I can understand why people, it's too much, it's too long, but for me, it gets the job done.
It reminds me of a very bad, prime original action movie with, one A-list celebrity that just, tries to, blow the water, it reminds me of that one Chris Pratt movie that Prime did. It was The War of Tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
That's what this movie kind of reminds me of.
It does almost feel like a guy was hired to make a movie like a Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't get Nolan.
Yes. I don't know. It seemed like a film bro just trying to be Nolan.
A little bit, yeah. That's his most recent film. And I enjoy it, but I get why people don't.
Yeah.
Your number 9?
My number 9, Dunkirk.
I also have Dunkirk at number 9.
Wow, we're pretty spot on so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, it grew on me a little bit after the fact I watched it, but, it doesn't move it up too much farther up the list. It was pretty boring.
Yeah, it's a well-made...
For Nolan?
Yeah, yes, especially for Nolan. It's a well-made movie. It tells a true story very well and respectfully. But characters, I couldn't name you a single thing about a single character in this movie. They're all just white guys with dark hair. And then Cillian Murphy, I guess, has a little bit more of a different story himself.
Yeah.
But that's about it. But we talked about how Tenet was somebody trying to be Nolan. this movie could have been directed by basically anybody. It's just kind of a war movie.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what it was kind of trying to do. It's war. It doesn't want to be like overwritten to the point where it like takes like disservice, where it's like disservicing.
He didn't want
the
to
events,
impose his style on a true story.
Yeah, I understand what was going on. It wanted, it captures like the horrors of war pretty well. But it just wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
Didn't dig it very much.
I'm not really a war movie guy to begin with.
I can get down with a war movie, but this fell flat, very much so for me. I will say, Harry Styles did a great job. He actually shocked me how good he was.
I barely remember.
Considering people like when Don't Worry Darling was coming out, like, oh my God, this is Harry's first acting job. And I was like, I think I remember him being on Dunkirk, or hearing about him on Dunkirk. And then when I watched it, which was, it was at like the beginning of the semester actually.
Oh, okay.
I was like, damn, he did pretty good. The stuff with Tom Hardy was cool.
Yeah, I remember everything being good. Just
everything was
nothing
solid.
Stood out to me.
It's above average. I gave it a 3.
Yeah, I gave it a 3.5. Yeah. And like again, it's probably a movie I'll never see again, but it's under 2 hours. It's very accessible. It's very well made, and I do like how Nolan does do a time manipulation a little bit.
Yeah,
there,
it's like things are kind of going on at the same time.
Yeah, they show like two things you think are happening parallel, but then you find out one happened before when you see like Cillian Murphy at night, I think, on the boat. So it has a few Nolan touches. It's a good movie, just like objectively in a way. But again, like nothing stands out. There's no Nolan-isms to it, for better or worse. So
yeah,
Dunkirk's solid. Now we're on to my number 8, correct?
Oh yeah, that was okay. Yeah,
my number 8. I've got Insomnia.
My number 8 as well.
How about that? Now, you just watched Insomnia. Tell me what you thought about Insomnia.
I liked it more than I thought it would, and more than I thought I would, because I remember people saying like, it's definitely Nolan's worser movies. Is that a word? Worser?
I think it's more kind of just lesser known. Because it was early in his career. It's not really his style at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I know we're not talking about Memento yet, but he made this after Memento. Not,
Yeah, it seems like a letdown.
A step backward. Although I did read that it was a Norwegian, I could never say that, film that he kind of just remade. It was a cool little crime thriller, I guess you could say. I thought Al Pacino's character was pretty cool. He was like he's like a cop. He thought he was a good cop, but he kind of like comes to the terms like he's a bad cop. Yeah. I liked Robin Williams. I liked how it was a take on. It was a crime thriller, but it wasn't about like a maniac serial killer. It was kind of like just like a regular guy. Yeah, that was doing bad things. So that was cool for me.
Do you think it was made clear enough that the protagonist of the film was tired?
They just seemed to drive that point home just a little more.
Just a little more, do you think?
Listen, so I mean, they do it. They there's some cool ways that they describe what the main character's feeling. Is insomnia. 1, the title of the movie. Yes. 2, like the flashes he gets. And his last name is Dormer, which I think is a play
dormant.
on dormant, or like the Spanish word for sleep is dormir.
Oh, that too.
So
I didn't even think of that part.
Yeah, but then for the rest of the movie, everyone's just like, dude, you got to get some sleep, man. Or it's like, oh man, I'm so tired. Or Robin Williams is like, oh, you're not thinking clearly. You have no sleep. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is like getting a little annoying.
Maybe if he just slept, he'd be able to solve the crime.
Well, he solved it, but he
quicker.
Solved, but he didn't do good things.
Yeah,
it wasn't really about solving the crime. It was about kind of saving his skin.
I would also say it's a good, kind of very understated Pacino performance. He's not very big in it at all. There aren't many, especially in this era, is when he started to like kind of get bigger and goofier. He's very understated and quiet and subtle, except for there's one scene where he said like, "Oh, and I'll be back in my raps and the shit." And some other cop goes like, "Oh, cut the shit." And he goes, "The fuck you care?" It's like the one Pacino outburst in the film. But yeah, we have it at the same spot. We both think it's It's good. It's fun.
Yeah,
It's well put together. All good performances.
Mm-hmm.
Again, good cinematography. A lot of cool Alaska shots.
Yeah.
Robin Williams is also very good in it.
Yeah.
I will say one note. I noticed when I first watched the movie, I think I watched it during COVID, that the scene on the boats when they're
like
talking
that.
to each
That's a
other,
great
that was a
scene.
great scene. And it honestly made me think, this is almost like I don't want to say prototype, but almost like the test run for the Dark Knight Joker interrogation scene.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that questioning and how good Nolan became at just one-on-one conversations. I felt like that in this film.
There's a great line in that scene where he's like telling him, like Al Pacino's telling him, like, oh, it's my job to know you, and he goes, he goes, you're nothing of a mystery like a blocked toilet is to a plumber to me, I thought it was very funny.
But yeah, really solid film. Early stuff again.
Yeah.
He was just he couldn't get the money to do anything crazy yet.
Yeah, again, this was a great just project of seeing his evolution.
Now, what do you have at number 7?
You're not gonna like this.
Okay, you're not gonna like my number 7 either.
Oh, do we have both of our number 1s at number 7?
Yeah, do you want to just wait till number 1 to talk about them?
I think that's a good plan.
Okay, we're gonna skip number 7 right now because they're both our number 1s.
This is so funny how like similar our lists are.
A lot of symmetry going on here right now.
We did not consult each other about these
No,
lists.
we did not. Okay, so I guess I'll move on to my number 6.
I feel like we're gonna have the same number 6.
I have Batman Begins.
Oh my god! Come on. This is cool.
Batman Begins is really good.
It
gets overlooked a lot.
I also think it gets overlooked a lot. I think it's a great origin story.
Yeah, Scarecrow's a good villain. Ra's al Ghul's a good villain.
Yep.
Again, very well put together.
I loved all the stuff in like the mountains
Yes,
with Ra's al Ghul.
and it's in absolutely no rush to show you he's Batman.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know when he first gets in the suit. It's like an hour
My
plus
dad-
into the movie.
My dad told me me and my family went to go see this when it first came out apparently, and because let's take my kid to a Batman
superhero
movie.
movie, yeah.
He loves superheroes, and I go to my dad. I go, Dad, it was maybe like an hour in the movie. I go, Dad, where's Batman?
Because, like, that's something that would almost never happen in a movie today. They don't show him
Yeah.
in the suit for such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, it's as good of an origin story we'll probably ever get.
Yeah.
Maybe like the first Spider-Man and this is probably like as good as it's ever been done. And I think Scarecrow's an awesome villain, honestly. He probably
Yeah,
gets
really-
overshadowed because Joker and Bane are so iconic.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he's so good in this.
That's true. I think he's great. Maybe the stuff with towards the end it gets a little foggy. When he's like
the toxin throughout the whole city.
yeah,
It's a lot.
and when he kills Ra's al Ghul, he's like,
Yeah,
well, I'm
that's
not
such a-
killing you if I just don't if I don't save you.
Yeah, that's one of the
I was like, Batman want to do that.
That's a death loophole.
Batman want to do that.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I always see like in the Batman conversation, like the one villain he would kill technically could be Ra's al Ghul because there's that like loophole saying like, are you really killing someone who is already dead? Because he's been resurrected so many
Yeah.
times. But I thought that was kind of
What's the pit called that he goes into?
holy
Lazarus Pit.
Lazarus Pit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it slipped my mind. Jesus.
But yeah, Batman Begins is great. Perfect origin story. And all the mob stuff is good. Maroney
Oh,
and all
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
which
I always
it
like
could
that
have
stuff.
seemed very stale, but they just make a good mob story
Yeah.
inside of a Batman movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it ends well. And he has a good suit. It's not as good as the Dark Knight suit, but it's a really good suit.
Contrary to popular opinion, I do not like the Dark Knight suit.
Really? You prefer the Batman Begins suit?
I don't know if I would prefer the Batman Begins suit because of like the the stiff neck. But I think the Dark Knight suit is like beyond ugly.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I hate it.
Okay.
If I were to pick a Batman suit, I would go like the Batman or the Arkham Knight suit is fucking cool.
The Arkham Knight suit is cool. And the Pattinson one is good too. Because he looks like he made it like in his
That's what I mean when I said the Batman.
Oh, yeah.
Pattinson.
Yes. Robert Batman.
Also, I don't mind the short-eared Batfleck suit. That was a cool one.
That's actually probably the best suit. We obviously didn't get to see it as much as we could have.
Yeah.
But perfect translation and it's perfect brute size.
Now let me ask you, Nolan doesn't seem like the person who'd do like a superhero trilogy. It doesn't seem like his thing. What do you think of how he tackled it? Obviously he can't play with concepts like he does in his own original stuff, but
I mean, this was before he did a lot of like mind bending stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
He did Memento and Insomnia.
well, I mean
That's all he
Memento.
I mean, yeah, that's obviously incredibly mind-bending. But they proved, like, oh, this guy's, like, kind of unique. And he, like, Insomnia, he made a very straightforward film with big stars and with a somewhat of money. And he really doesn't seem like the guy to take this on.
Yeah, exactly.
But he clearly was able to say, like, I'll do it, but I have to make it my own. And he did that. And that's why he made three of the best superhero movies ever. He made the best trilogy for sure.
Yeah.
Out of any superhero has had.
You know, I think his signature, you know, when you think of like Nolan and his like signature stuff, you're talking like great visuals and then a super complex concept. And obviously Michael Caine and a lot of similar actors across the board, but
Tom Hardy, Cillian Murphy always showing up in his stuff.
You see a lot of it start here with Michael Caine.
Yeah.
This is where he first cast Michael Caine, and then obviously this is where he gets a big shot at really cool visuals.
Yeah. Because first time he had like a lot of money.
Yeah, so this is it's an important movie.
Oh, most certainly.
His discography,
yeah.
I think.
And we're indebted that he took filmography.
Yes. I was like discography music.
All right, number 5.
I think it's going to be the same one.
I have The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh my God. This isn't even interesting. I'm sorry, folks.
This is fascinating.
I'm sorry, folks.
This is happening.
Yes.
All right. It's really good.
And
again, he's not in the suit for like the first 45 minutes.
Yeah, I think the stuff where he's in like the pit and he's like with the broken back. Is he in the suit? You're talking about that point, right? Or are you talking about before when he's just like
when he has the cane?
Yeah,
and he's like not retired, but he's just unwilling to be Batman again.
Yeah, it was a cool look into Batman and how he's feeling after you know, because a man going against someone as psychologically demanding as Joker takes a toll on you. You know, would he really want to step back in? But again, as I said, when he gets his back broken and he's in the pit and he has to work his way back up, very cool stuff. I see people's complaints about it. You know, I know this is very much hated among people.
When it came out, there were so many people complaining about, oh, what about the plot holes in The Dark Knight? Right? How did he get out of the pit and get back into Gotham City? I was like, because he's fucking Batman. I can extend my disbelief when it's a guy who's supposed to be like this.
Yeah.
But what do you think of Bane? Where does he rank among the Dark Knight villains for you?
Either the top or right below Joker. Okay. I really like Bane here.
He's really good.
I love the fact that Bane is a very smart character. He is a character that usually he's supposed to have an intelligence that matches Batman. But a lot of material that does Bane,
they just make him a brute.
Yeah, just a brute that's a dummy and like kind of comedic. You know, I love that Nolan made him, like an intelligent being, individual.
So you believe it when he takes over Gotham.
Yeah.
Batman can't do anything.
I think Bane was great. He was definitely, I think, the most threatening villain.
Yes. Yeah. Because he could match him intellectually and physically. And we see it happen both times in both instances. The Talia al Ghul stuff was just kind of there.
Yeah, that's where it kind of lost me just a little bit.
It's so quick, and at the end, you're just kind of like, okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
She was working with him. Okay.
Yeah, the movie falls flat at that point, but, that's why it's at number 5 and not number, I don't know.
I do think, Anne Hathaway, I think, is a great Catwoman.
Yeah,
too.
She was really good.
Yeah.
She was really good. Where would you rank Bane?
Bane, 2. I probably can't put him above Joker, but yeah. It's Joker, Bane, drop off Scarecrow, even though I love Scarecrow. I think Scarecrow's great.
Yeah, yeah.
And Ra's al Ghul I was never really crazy about. He shows up throughout. Because he shows up in the pit, whether it's real or not, I don't know. But,
yeah, that like changes every now and then.
Yeah.
What do you think with the ending? Do you think he was dead or no?
No, I think he lives.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I like to think that he lived.
Yeah,
and it's a great ending.
Yeah,
really like it.
Oh, it's so sweet. Yeah,
even for like a Batman movie, like you wouldn't think it would have like such a poetic ending.
Yeah, he did all he could for the city, and I do love how all of it wraps up. How Gary Oldman finds out, like, oh, Batman was Bruce Wayne. But he keeps the secret. They build a statue to him. And they never say it, but to the citizens of Gotham, I guess they're just like, oh, Bruce Wayne. He left, I guess. He's going on vacation somewhere.
And what'd you think of Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
He was also a really cool character.
I liked him, man.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the fact, when they first revealed, when he was like, oh, Robin, I was like, huh. I could see people like not liking it, but I was just like, it's a cool little nod.
Yeah, it's a nice little thing. And you can assume like, another thing was, a complaint I can understand about seeing Bruce just in France or wherever it was at that table with Selena is like, would he just leave Gotham behind?
Yeah.
He leaves the mantle for Robin to take over because he'd become Nightwing or whoever, because he leaves all that everything in the Batcave for him.
Yeah. And
So
I'm like,
I like all of that.
Like, why do you guys care that it's not like an actual like Robin origin story? Like, the trilogy ends here. There's no more story.
Yeah, that too. And the tone of this is so, especially at this point, was the most grounded superhero movies by far.
Yeah.
When they came out, it'd be so weird if he had a literal child running around with him.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Dark Knight Rises, beautiful, great end to the trilogy.
Yes,
I think we can agree on that.
I agree.
Now, we're looking at number 4.
Okay.
My number 4.
All right.
Memento.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
It is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This could have been very much so number 2 for me.
It's really good.
My only complaint is...
We're getting into interchangeable territory.
Yes. Here at this point, my top 4, I can... Well, my 2 through 4, I can definitely...
Yeah, your number 1 ain't changing.
My number 1, I'm not touching.
Yeah, my number 1 might not change either. /7 for you.
/7 for you.
But Memento, phenomenal.
Yes. This, when I was first watching it, I'm like, this is one of Nolan's most grounded stories. But it is his by far most groundbreaking movie.
Yeah. The structure of it is literally unlike any movie I have ever seen.
Yeah. This thing is just amazing. I mean,
the fact you can follow this at all is a testament to him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's deliberately kind of throws different things at you, so you're not sure what to believe.
Yeah.
And I mean, the narrator literally has
issues
with his memory. Even you don't know, does he have long-term memory issues too? Because you're supposed to believe like, all the Sammy stuff, was it real? Was it not real? Does he have delusions about everything? So you have an unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
But Guy Pearce is really good in the movie too.
Yes, he does a great job.
Joey Pants, obviously.
What's that? Oh, Ralphie?
Yeah.
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 That was so cool.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
But it's a movie that, like I said, you're not sure what to believe throughout. It's not the easiest movie to follow. But unlike Tenet or some other movies, it's a fun puzzle to try to piece together as you're watching it.
This, I think, is his by far most difficult movie. Mm-hmm. I really... And when I went to go look at the Letterboxd reviews, everyone in the comments is like, "What the fuck just happened?" That's where it not. I gave it a 4.5. That's where it knocked. It could have been 5, but for a movie to sacrifice some, or just to be so complex, it's like why, you know?
A 5, you have to know exactly what you got out of it.
Yeah,
I
mean,
guess is a way to say
a 5, obviously it can be difficult to follow, but. Some light of day, please, man. This is what I meant when I said this is the AP test to me.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? But after the movie, Tenet was a really hard movie to follow, but I didn't give a fuck. This is a hard movie to follow, but right after I was like, I could give this a rewatch to better grasp it, or like I did after it, I went on YouTube and I was like, Memento explained, and which was some really cool insight and made me appreciate it much more.
When we decided we were doing this, I also had to YouTube Memento explain just to refresh.
Yeah,
because even if I remember a lot, it's not enough to actually grasp it. Mm-hmm. It's a movie you're maybe never fully gonna grasp, but that's what I like about it.
I think what's really cool about the way he does it, where you're learning more about the story by going through the past. It's kind of a way to put yourself almost in the shoes of the main character, where at the beginning of the story is the most, recent event to happen, but next to nothing. Neither does he. Yeah. I mean, obviously, as the viewer learns more from going back, And
a lot of times scenes do start, and there's the one where he's like, "Oh, who's chasing me?" And you're thinking like, "I don't remember either." And there's even jokes with it, like there's the lady who spits in his beer, and then you just see him sitting with it, and he drinks, and the guy laughs. And you're like, why'd the guy laugh? And then you find out later that she's spitting it in the past. Very complicated to speak of as well, but It's an amazing, amazing movie. And I can only imagine he did Following. I don't know. I don't think he did anything else in between of any like significant capacity. And then they're like, okay, we'll give you a little money. What kind of movie do you want to make? And he says this. It's amazing that they let him make this.
So, fun fact, the script was originally made by his brother, Jonathan Nolan.
They write a lot of stuff
I almost
together.
said Jonathan Majors. And the movie first released in 2000. And the original script was then released in 2001. So, because in Memento,
that's cool. That's cool, actually.
Yeah. Fuck. What was I gonna say?
God damn.
I don't remember.
I like ending with the beginning. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I always like when things do that.
Yeah. It's the only actual like reverse shot in the movie too. And then
Yeah, when he's
and it also
shaking
the like
photo.
reverse sequences, like it can be a lot at times, but they break it up with the black and white things where he's just talking about Sammy.
Yeah.
So it never becomes like trite or like too much at once.
And the way it's, done, it feels like the viewer is like stuck in a loop. Like this whole story is a loop. And to him at the end, when you find out like he's just been killing John G's over and over again, because that's what Ralphie wanted him to, his life was in a loop because he has no memory of what was going on. And he was just living over and over again trying to kill John G.
And he's destined to continue it.
Yeah.
And the origin of it is still unclear, but we know he's just going to keep doing this. He's going to keep getting tattoos and just keep killing dudes.
There's a little actually flash of, I think, when he's talking about Sammy, where he's like Sammy is in the asylum, like a mental institution. And as a woman passes Sammy, as she passes very quickly, it's him in the mental institution. So I guess it's inferred that at the end he ended up in there, and I don't know.
I've heard a lot of people say it different ways.
Or maybe
they think
all this is a vision. Who knows?
I've heard some people say like he ended up killing his wife like through the diabetic thing.
Oh, I saw actually
Because he tells him like, "Oh, you're Sammy." They're like Ralphie tells him that. So I've heard people say, "Oh, that happened to him," and then he was the one in the mental hospital. I've heard people say everything is just in his head in the hospital. I've heard people say he escapes the mental hospital and now he's on the run trying to kill whoever it was.
I heard that the attack did happen on his wife, but the wife survived. It was the attack was stopped in time by either him or the cops or whatever. And the wife is alive, but he forgot all about her, and he thinks that she's dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like the last memory he sees her thinks she's dying. So he goes out on this quest. That's interesting. But I also think the attack happened.
Yeah.
That's how I like to think. But I don't him as Sammy. I don't know if that's just Ralph messing with him or trying to
Yeah, I think it's
torture him
just,
more.
I do think it's a kind of like a vision that he's having of Sammy. Like he's kind of like making it up.
Yeah. But I like to think that when he says his long-term memory is intact, I like to think it is.
Okay.
He's not misremembering things that much, but every character is unreliable. So
That's what's so good about this movie. Like there's so
we can have all these theories.
Yeah,
and discussions.
exactly. And it really does like show like how detrimental someone's life could be without short-term memory,
Oh yeah, it's crazy. In our next episode, we actually will be talking about a character with short-term memory loss, won't we?
Yes.
Yes.
I forgot about that.
Number 3.
Number 3.
What do you have?
I have The Dark Knight.
I have The Dark Knight.
Jesus fucking Christ. Come on. We just uncanny.
This also confirms we have the same number 2.
Yes, it
Yeah.
does.
The Dark Knight, one of the best comic book movies ever. One of the best superhero movies ever.
Yep.
It's been talked to death.
Not much we could say about it because it's already been said.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger, Joker.
We have
something
agreed.
to behold.
Yes. We have agreed that we think the last 10 to 15 minutes
Yes,
drags a little bit.
it drags. Definitely drags. That's why it's not a 5 for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I have 4.5 as well.
It overstays its welcome just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah, because he catches Joker, he leaves him hanging from the grappling hook, and then he has the face off with Two-Face, and it just kind of happens.
Yeah, it was
When you've already gotten the Joker out of the way, like that's the big fish. That's what everybody cared about. It's like Two-Face. It's like, okay, I know Two-Face isn't gonna kill him.
It seems like at that point he kind of like forgot, like, oh shit, we have to resolve Two-Face. It was
Yeah.
kind of like housekeeping at that point.
And I think the CGI on Two-Face's still holds up to this
Oh,
day. It looks
really
so good.
Yeah, really good.
Aaron Eckhart is a little much as Two-Face, I think.
I like him actually.
I think he's good. He is a lot at once.
I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying.
I think him as Harvey Dent is especially good, though. You understand how this guy's kind of a troubled guy, but he's trying to do good, and he's well liked by the public and everything. And he makes another good foil for Batman. And I do love the bit when he flips the coin with the guy, and he's like, "Oh, you made it. Bad news. Your driver didn't." And he shoots the driver. It just shows. Cool. I like how he reached a point where he just doesn't care about anything, including his own life.
Wow, a killer who leaves killing up to a coin flipping. Remind you of anyone?
Who?
How much have you lost?
Oh, yes.
Anton Chigurh. What was I gonna say? You know, I wouldn't mind. I know it's not gonna happen, but I wouldn't mind having him as Two-Face again. That was pretty good. I liked him a lot.
Yeah, I think that's great. No complaints.
Yeah, you know, this is the movie where I'm like, damn, it's a shame about Heath Ledger. You know.
Yeah, and also I almost mentioned during the Dark Knight Rises thing that the original intention was one of the reasons they left everything with Joker so open at the end of the Dark Knight was that originally there was going to be a scene where in the Dark Knight Rises, Bane releases all the prisoners, but he would leave Joker in there because Bane's all about order, Joker's all about anarchy. So Batman will go into Arkham Asylum, an empty Arkham Asylum, and ask the Joker for advice. Yeah, which would have been an amazing, amazing scene.
I think also because like, you know, there's not a very ceremonious ending to Batman and the Joker in the Dark Knight. I think it's because like, you know, Batman and Joker, they're always supposed
going to keep going.
You know,
yeah.
There's really never an end.
Yeah.
So, you know, even though it looks like maybe an unfortunate problem, it's also a cool little solution.
Yeah.
You know, just the way you look at it.
Amazing opening sequence. The whole bank robbery.
Yeah.
Is phenomenal. I remember I think it was in IMAX theaters. They showed like the first 5 minutes of The Dark Knight ahead of Cloverfield, I think, when that came out. And droves of people went to just watch the first 5 minutes of The Dark Knight.
Damn.
Yeah.
So good.
I don't blame them.
Yeah.
It's that good.
It's probably one of the best superhero movies of all time.
Yeah. It's still still top 5, top 3.
Yeah.
It's up there. Now number 2, we both have. Don't even pick up your phone. We have Inception.
Yeah. Inception. We had a whole episode about this.
We did. But yes, we think it's one of the best movies of 2010.
If you want to see our full thoughts, check that out.
Many moons ago.
Many moons. Yeah, I mean, watching Tenet, when I said like it reminds me of a bad Inception, made me appreciate Inception so much.
Okay, yeah. And did you find it especially complicated or hard to follow when you were watching it?
No, I found Inception to be
either.
fairly well explained.
Yes, I did too.
Where I actually knew everything that was going on.
We don't like go into the dreams until like at least over halfway through the movie, I think. Because the first half is them just explaining everything. Yeah. So you go in like, if you've just been paying attention, you go in fully equipped and you fully understand everything. And all the layers are cool, all the different ways they have to get deeper and deeper into his mind. And it actually comes down to a quite sweet moment, I always thought, when he goes in like the safe and it's like the pinwheel.
Yeah.
And because they make Cillian Murphy just be like, oh, he's this rich guy or whatever. But they have like a nice little moment there at the end. And all the characters aren't like crazy developed, but they all have a thing.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy's a cool, almost kind of rogue guy in a little bit. Not like too rogue, but he does his own thing. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's a good soldier.
Yeah.
And
he's like the orchestrator.
Yeah.
You know?
And Leo, everything with Leo is good.
Oh, yeah.
All his past, you can tell, is haunting him. And when he goes into the world with all the buildings crumbling, probably his best visuals, actually, in Inception, I think. And all these effects still hold up, too.
I don't agree.
Okay, yes, because of that one. Yeah. On Earth, his best visuals.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's Inception, man.
It's Inception.
Do you think he's in the real world at the end?
I do.
I do too.
But that's not the point, Ryan. It's the point it's the fact that he doesn't care.
I guess so. Yeah.
But also at
I like
the same
that
time,
it wobbles.
Like why the hell? Yeah, it wobbles. Why the hell would we get sending if he's not in the real world? You know.
Yeah.
That's so unceremonious. I keep saying.
I think he's not like type like, oh, it's always a happy ending. But if it just keeps spinning, and he's like in the dream world, and he's just kind of living this lie, like that's like a kind of a dark.
Yeah.
evil ending. Like that doesn't seem like Nolan. I think the fact you see it wobble just a little bit, like okay,
Yeah,
that tells you
that was confirmation.
he's in the real world.
Yep.
Everything worked out, and it's honestly a very very happy ending for everybody.
Yeah.
Nobody nobody dies. I don't think nobody gets on the wrong end of things.
And he got closure with the death of his wife.
Yeah.
You know,
Gets to see his kids.
There was dark themes and there were happy endings.
Yes, you could do. He's not the kind of guy to do obviously sequels or prequels or anything, but you could do a whole thing just about dream crimes because he's exiled because he committed some dream crime and the dream police got him. Which there's so many facets to this.
Yeah, he builds brilliant worlds.
The rabbit hole just keeps going deeper with this movie. Yeah. All right, Mikey. Now tell me your number 1 and my number 7.
My number 1 and your number 7 is Interstellar. Interstellar, I gave a 5. I think this thing is absolutely perfect. One of my favorite, probably my top 5 favorite movie of all time. Fantastic visuals. I mean, we spoke about this last episode.
Yes, because you talked about that. This is best by far.
Fantastic visuals. I think one of the ultimate adventure movies.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, yeah.
It's a cosmic, goes different places in different ways. Yep. An adventure. Yeah.
I mean, great performances across the board. A great, story about family and the human spirit. I think blanking on McConaughey's name.
Matthew?
Character's name.
Oh, I'll look it up. You keep talking.
I think he is by far one of my favorite protagonists. Definitely my favorite Nolan protagonist.
Cooper. Joseph
Cooper.
Call him Coop.
Yeah. I mean, this guy, he's like unbeatable, and they explain everything. It's like Inception. Really hard physics topics.
Yeah.
And they explain it so well that I feel like a fucking physicist when I walk out of this thing.
Yeah. If you want to feel smart, watch Interstellar.
Yeah. And scientists have praised this movie for being so accurate.
They worked with them so intently on it that everything you see is either proven or at least theorized to be possible.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, like you see the weird bookshelf and he's knocking things over, and then there's the thing with the watch. And it all makes sense somehow at the end of this movie.
Yes. This is one where I'm like, I was watching it the entire time. And I'm like, where is this going to go? And I'm like, there's no way it's going to be like, I can see him just dying in space or whatever, and that be it. But the ending, I was like, I can't believe they pulled that. That is just so awesome.
Incredible payoff.
Yeah.
It just feels good at the end.
Yeah. I mean, a true journey every time I watch it. I love this thing to death. The runtime is necessary. I don't think it overstays its welcome because there's so many cool new ideas coming at you.
It should be that length.
And the Matt Damon reveal in like the dead middle of the movie, I think that was pretty cool. An A-list actor just showing up, and then fucking things up and like
he's a bad
changing
dude.
the entire.
You don't
course
expect
of the
him
movie.
to be a bad dude.
All the praises for this film, but tell me now, Ryan, what's your problems with it?
To me, like you said, it's just a little dense for me.
Okay,
it is easy to follow. I still have it at 4 stars. I still think this is a great movie.
Yeah,
it's just a lot at once. Sometimes I think it drags a little bit. I like McConaughey a lot. I think all the stuff with Murph is good. What's the Casey Affleck? Is that his name? Who wants to burn down the cornfield?
Yes, the brother.
Yeah, that stuff was just kind of there for me.
Okay,
a lot of it, but I don't know. Like obviously the great visuals, but it didn't like hit me like it hit you. It still hit me pretty hard. I still think it's a great movie. Nolan's just at this level that it's my 7, but it's still a fantastic movie. And like you said, it's a feat that he went in with all these ideas and you were able to follow it.
Yeah.
You were able to understand what's going on in the capacity of a plot. But sometimes it was just too much. I guess is the best way I could say it.
I can see that. I do think my first watch, I gave it a 4.5 because I thought there were a lot of conversations that just dragged.
Okay.
But I think maybe on other rewatches, I was like, it's kind of like downtime for the viewer,
Okay.
It gives a little insight on each character still, but it's throwing so much at you that like, let's just slow it down just a little bit. We don't have to be hitting pedal to the metal.
Yeah.
The entire time like Tenet was.
Yeah.
I mean.
I think Inception, Interstellar, Inception, Dark Knight Rises, Interstellar, all 3 years apart or so. All very happy endings.
Yeah.
All great payoffs.
Well, I mean, Interstellar is a little bittersweet because the daughter is, dying on her deathbed at the time he gets
The
back.
fact like he sees her though, like that's like
Yeah.
that was the whole goal.
Yes.
The fact that happened and they're both happy.
Yes.
I think like that's maybe not so much happy joyous ending, but incredible payoff.
There's just so many scenes, that one in particular, where I could just tear up thinking about. I love this movie. You not so much, but you still have the respect for it.
Yeah, I still think it's great.
Yeah.
I still think it's great. I don't have the connection to it that you do.
Yeah, I could very well put this as my top 4 favorite movie on Letterboxd.
A movie I do have some connection to.
Okay.
And your number 7.
My number 7.
The Prestige.
Yes.
And I also talked about this last week.
Yes. It's funny. This is a little, yeah. All right.
I think this is his best movie. I think this movie is amazing. I think it is one of the most masterfully crafted movies I've seen put together. There are, I think, 50 time jumps or something between past, present, future.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still easy to follow. There's different versions of different people. There's still twists and turns along the way. There's multiple versions of the same person. And you still understand what's going on. And when you look further and further behind the curtain, I think it just becomes more and more impressive.
Behind the curtain, I like that.
Yes, indeed. And the more you learn about this machine that David Bowie made with Andy Serkis, the more enamored you are with it. And then you go back in time and learn how it clones people. Hugh Jackman just would make more and more of himself and kill himself onto the stage every night, and he would just go on as the clone or as that himself.
Mm-hmm.
It just, everything, and you learn more and more about their rivalry, what Christian Bale is doing to combat this. It's just so good. And it starts out with just a shot of a bunch of top hats in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And a voice goes, "Are you watching closely?" And you're just like, what the fuck?
It's Michael, what's his name? Michael Caine. He goes, "The greatest trick is the one," like something.
Oh, he does the thing with the bird cage, I know.
Oh, yeah. But like in the beginning, he like gives a little monologue. Like, the greatest trick. No, some whole spiel.
He's great in it too. He's great in all these movies.
Oh, yeah. I think that's more one of... that and Alfred are more of his bigger roles in the Nolan movies.
Yeah.
Other stuff is kind of like just like a little cameo. Like Tenet was like really brief. Interstellar a little more so.
Interstellar's in an amount, but like it didn't have to be him.
Yeah.
What do you have not against The Prestige? I know you still like it and you think it's good.
Yeah, I have nothing against it. It just never
Never grabbed you.
Yeah, and the entire time I'm watching it, I'm like, I could very well turn this off and not really care.
Wow.
It just did not grab me whatsoever. Tenet watching was a complete chore because I couldn't stand it.
Damn.
But The Prestige was, I could finish it. I couldn't. I don't have to. Never grabbed me. Wasn't anything crazy like mind blowing to me. The concepts were just whatever. I just think Nolan has done better. There's been more interesting stories, but I still think it's I like all your good points. You make some good points.
We have the same feeling about our 7/1s. We're not grabbed by the other one, but we respect.
Yes,
we respect the other film.
Wow.
And with The Prestige, I told my mom to watch it one time because she likes movies with a lot of twists and turns, and she watched it. And then one time we were driving in the car, and she said like, "Oh, it was so cool how like that person did that and this happened or whatever." And I said, "I don't think you followed the movie at all." She was like, "What do you mean? He went this, he did that, right?" I was like, No, that was a different guy." And we had to sit down and just watch it, and she was like, "Oh, I get it now."
That's funny. I showed my mom Interstellar.
Oh god, my mom could not get through Interstellar.
She also gave it a 5. She loved it.
Damn.
I made her download Letterboxd. She thinks it's pretty cool. And when I was watching it with her, I'm like, for someone who is more patient with these kinds of movies, watching someone who just wants to watch a movie just to watch a movie, it was very cool to see how much of a journey her mind went on. And at the end, she was like, "That was a good movie." I was like, all right.
I'd also show my mom Inception, which I think she liked, but she wasn't crazy about.
I was going to show her Inception 2. It was between Interstellar and Inception, I said.
And I also showed her Memento.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, no way.
It was a challenge, but I think she liked aspects of it. She wanted more. She wanted an answer.
Okay.
She wanted a definitive answer at the end, which I can understand. She like loves murder mysteries where you figure out who did it.
Mm-hmm.
But and I remember at the end when he's driving in the car, and he closes his eyes, and she thought like for sure someone was gonna kill him, a car was gonna hit him or something, and then he just opens him up, and she's like, "This is stupid."
Oh, all right.
I think she still enjoyed him enough, and she respects the ambition. Which if there's anything you have to do with Nolan, you respect his ambition to go different places and try different things.
Just a little bonus. What would you, if someone's trying to get into Nolan? What order would you tell them to watch?
I would probably tell them to start with Inception.
Start with Inception.
Yeah,
I would say start with the Batman movies.
Yeah, you could start with the Batmans. I just think like if you're a superhero person, like you're gonna like them. If you're not, they might turn you off of them.
I just think it's a good gateway. You know, some really good movies that are nothing too crazy, and then I would go the Batmans. Then I would probably go Inception.
I think outside of the Batmans, Inception is his most accessible.
Yeah.
So that's why I would probably say that one.
Or well, I think Insomnia is a little more accessible, but it's not as good.
Yeah,
To really,
it's not as good.
To
It's
really
not,
show.
Yeah, it's not as good. It's not as fun, and it's not as him.
Okay.
Inception is an idea that's like, oh, this feels like Nolan.
Yeah.
And this is his best one that is like so like purely surely him.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I agree. Inception.
And Prestige, like I love it, but like period piece, could turn some people off. And I understand why some people like aren't into it. Inception, I think more people could like grab onto early.
Yeah. And then, gotta throw it up for Interstellar for me. Yeah, everyone's got to see that one.
Yes. So, Christopher Nolan starts a lot of movies at the beginning and ends with the beginning or starts with whatever. You know what else starts a lot like the ending?
The Brinx and Hearse podcast.
It will be the Brinx and Hearse podcast. My name has been Ryan McNeill.
Michael Frieri.
And we wish you a very Heidi.